My name's Steve. I have the bizarre job title of Head of Creatures on Jurassic World, the exhibit here in Philadelphia. I look after the team who looks after all of the dinosaurs here at the exhibit. We have engineers to deal with the steel and the hydraulics. We have software guys. We have girls who work on the skin and the fabric, stitching it and maintaining it and making sure everything looks, as good as it can every single day for the exhibit. So I actually started at the start of Philadelphia here back in November, 11th of November, I think. Before it was here in Philadelphia, it did 6 months in Melbourne. And that's like right on Creature Technology's doorstep. This whole idea has been in the works for years, for a long time. Yeah, there were lots of negotiations and trying to figure out how they could turn these creatures, which would normally be moving around on an arena floor, into an exhibit, but also an exhibit that actually still shows off how impressive these things are. I remember first hearing rumors at least 4 years ago.
Wow, that's really, really cool.
And that would be like pre-production time. Getting the
communications is like,
sure.
We have an idea. Do you think, Yeah,
I started with Walking with Dinosaurs 8 years ago and was initially offered a 3-month contract. And that just rolled and rolled and rolled, and was lucky enough to be with the tour on and off for 5 years. We toured all over the world, Europe, Asia, Australia, all over North America. So when you saw Walking with Dinosaurs in Pittsburgh, it was me driving this T-Rex around on stage during that show.
Incredibly cool.
Yeah.
Pachyrhinosaurus, how'd you choose it? Because it wasn't part of Walking with Dinosaurs. It's not in Jurassic World. It's one of my favorite dinosaurs ever, so I'm so glad it is part of the exhibit. Do you know, how did you land on Pachyrhinosaurus?
I would love to know myself as well. I wasn't, that's people paid far more money than I am making the creative decisions way back when. These things have a huge complex steel skeleton inside. And the genius of CTC, the company that built these, they said, well, if it moves on a real creature, then it has to move on our robots. This is 2/3 of the axes that we can control on this creature. So we've got everything from the body up down, but then we also have the torso up down, and torso tilt and body tilt, and then body left right and torso left right. Then we have neck up down left right, head up down left right, head rotate. Like, if it can move on a real creature, they've implemented it in here. And obviously with that many moving parts to consider, sometimes things go a little awry. The way these were all originally designed is the team at CTC looked at hours and hours of footage of like elephants walking to actually get how legs and things move correctly. But specifically for this show, all of these creatures were live puppeteered, and they did loads and loads of takes to get the actual performance correct. And every time they did that, they recorded it into 3D modeling software.
Okay.
They try to steer clear of just drawing in lines into animation software and actually physically puppeteer it. And they've got this really cool thing called a voodoo rig, which is, it kind of looks like Terminator's broken off arm from Terminator. It's just all sorts of points of actuation, and you can
hold on to it. Stop motion, isn't it? Like where it's like all the different points. Yeah, like it's real time. So
right.
You kind of like move the body with your own hands.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of hold it like this, and you can move it around, and the movements are replicated exactly by the creature. Museums are smaller than arenas. Ceilings are lower, so as impressive as T-Rex looks right now, and I can tell you guys because we're all allowed to know the secrets, she's actually had the lower half of her legs and her feet chopped off. So she would be about 8 to 10 feet taller than this in real life. So that was one of the challenges, was making the dinosaurs fit into the spaces. I mean, these guys run from 9 in the morning till sometimes 9 at night, 7 days a week. So they had to be engineered really meticulously to deal with that workload. We have parts and engineers and myself and other software guys on site who, if something breaks, we literally have to rebuild it out of steel and weld it together. And it's very, very rare that something would go wrong that's so obvious that the audience would notice. Quite often we're able to just carry on through, and backstage say the neck on Stegosaurus isn't working as it's supposed to, I can disable that axis and stop the neck from moving to reduce any further damage. Touch wood, we haven't had any major frame breaks while the show's actually running. But yeah, but when it does, if it does happen, not when, if it happens, then after the exhibition closes, it's pretty impressive. We have to like tear these things open, find out what the issue is, strap it up to the roof, do whatever, and get the whole body ready and back in the correct geometry, and then start to weld and fix it back together.
What makes these different than the animatronics that you see on screen?
These guys have to be viewed from almost 360 degrees every day by hundreds and thousands, sometimes thousands of pairs of eyes. So these have to be super realistic from every angle. I mean, the animatronics in Jurassic Park, you know, especially the original one, were absolutely incredible. But I think, you know, we all know at times that the T-Rex head was just a head on a big boom arm,
yes.
that kind of thing. Whereas these guys have to be
There.
the entire creature.
Do you think that you've brought anything to the table that movies can utilize?
Possibly. Possibly. I know that a lot of the guys who founded Creature Technology actually came from movie animatronics, and they were either animatronic designers or puppeteers themselves, and they worked on some pretty good stuff in Australia that I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you about. One of the coolest bits is I come in every morning and we run maintenance checks on the creatures, and we do that in the morning, and we do that when we shut down the show at the end of the day. And I don't know, it's nerdy, but it's kind of cool. But I get to come in and actually physically move the creature around by grabbing one of these faders, and then we can move it around and check that everything moves correctly.
And I'm assuming you have safeties then, so like the fader can't go far enough to smack the bar. So I guess there's a lot of painstaking like research to make sure.
Absolutely. So all of the software, this software was actually written by the people at CTC to work with the way the hydraulics and the electric motors inside there work. So when we get into a new space, before we allow the puppeteers to live puppeteer, like I was saying earlier, we actually put the creature in its position and move it, and physically move it on here. And before it can hit anything, we set a software limit and say, hey neck, you can't turn left anymore because you're about to hit a wall. So once we've set all of those limits, and the puppeteer can't physically hit anything with the puppet, we then hand it over to the puppeteer and they do their bit of creative magic. When you get up inside one of these things, it is literally like a Rube Goldberg machine, and it's like, oh. I don't know how this works. I think it's definitely magic. With T-Rex, it's especially cool because we can walk her up and down the track that she's on. And as she walks, even though I just moved one fader, what that does is tell the whole dinosaur, hey, move your legs. They need to move up and down as well as forwards and backwards. And then, I'm sure you guys saw the show earlier, but we even have, spoiler alert, we even have the classic movie moment.
Yeah.
T-Rex trying to knock the truck over. Can walk her back a little. And maybe, if I'm quick enough, we can get her to look over to us and say hello. He says, here we go.
Go in and brush their teeth that way.
I should do, actually. It's been a while. When the mouth opens, it sends an AMX signal to the sound processing, which is done centrally, and that says, hey, T-Rex is speaking now, play the roar. We have to be really on top of what's going on. So as well as physically moving them on the computer every night to check that all the axes move correctly, we get inside and inspect all of the frames, every point, and make sure that all the steel and all of the hydraulics and everything is connected, that nothing's wearing, nothing's hitting against something that it shouldn't. So it's a pretty intense maintenance schedule every single night, 7 days a week. Do you want to go?
Sure.
Okay, so you can't break anything, I don't think. Right? So just pick whatever it is you want to move. All the different titles are up there, and then easy. There you go.
I'll check that out with Jaw. This is how you.
And the response is instant, right? You can feel it.
It's literally like accidentally, like if I'm going real slow, I can go in. What with eyes? Oh. I love how the eyelid actually like went with it a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's part of the program.
Do you like Jurassic Park? Do you like eating lawyers?
I love the way she walks. The walk cycle is. I mean, if you could get in and see, it's really incredible what they do. The 2 feet are attached to either side on motors that move the feet backwards and forwards like this. So if her body was to stay still, her feet can do this. But it's so perfectly programmed that when she moves forward and looks like she's walking forward, she'll move her foot forward and plant it, but at the same speed that the chassis is moving forwards, the foot moves backwards, so that it absolutely takes a step and looks like she's putting weight on each foot. The range of movement in the Indominus is incredible. The way.
Yeah, she looks angry.
Yeah.
Very, very angry. Shout out plugs. Shout out to the Creature Technology Company.
Yeah, no, thank you to you guys for coming and visiting. And
no, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. Because especially now that you've told us how much work goes into this, you've got a very, very probably busy night in front of you to check over everything. So thank you for taking the time out
you're more than welcome.
To talk to us and let us geek out over this. Geek out with us a little bit as well.
Yeah.